Environmental protection and management involves practices and principles that safeguard natural ecosystems, promote sustainability, and ensure responsible use of natural resources. In the Philippines, various laws and community-based programs are in place to promote environmental awareness and action at the individual and societal levels.
Let's discuss about the 7 core environmental principles. So let's start with the principle number 1. Nature knows best. Imagine a forest. It's not perfectly planned, but it works. Trees, animals, and everything else interact in a complex, balanced way that's been refined over millions of years. This intricate balance is what we mean when we say nature knows best. It's not about leaving everything untouched, but about understanding the intricate processes that govern natural systems and aligning our actions with them. When we try to improve nature without understanding its inherent wisdom, we often cause more harm than good. This principle emphasizes 2 key aspects. The first one is minimizing disruption. Human actions often disrupt natural balances, leading to unintended consequences. We should avoid unnecessary interventions. The next key aspect is aligning with nature's rhythms. Sustainable practices work with natural cycles, not against them. For example, using crop rotation in agriculture or building designs that utilize natural ventilation and sunlight. The goal is harmony, not domination. So what we need to remember in the principle number 1 is that natural processes should not be disrupted. Human intervention must align with nature's.
So let's talk about the second principles of So these all forms of life are important, which is biodiversity, ensures ecosystem balance and resilience. So how can we ensure that principle? So all we can do is first reduce plastics. So reduce plastics prevent the harm the life of our ocean species. Second is plant more trees, because in that way we can support the life of our birds, and we ensure that every species has its role to balance
The third environmental principle, everything is connected to everything else, means that all parts of the environment, like plants, air, people, water, and land, are interdependent. This principle highlights that no living thing or natural process exists in isolation. When one part of the environment is harmed, it can cause a chain reaction that affects many other parts. For example, if a forest is cleared for farming or development, the effects go beyond just losing trees. Animals lose their homes and food sources, which can lead to extinction or migration. Without trees, the soil becomes loose and is easily washed away when it rains, leading to erosion and muddy rivers. This affects fish other aquatic life, and it also reduces the quality of water for human use. Even the local climate becomes warmer and drier because trees help regulate temperature and moisture. This principle is also seen in global issues like climate change. When we burn fossil fuels, we release greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. These gases trap heat, leading to rising global temperatures. That warming affects weather patterns, melts ice caps, raises sea levels, and damages ecosystems. In the end, people suffer too, from floods, droughts, and food shortages. In short, this principle teaches us that the environment is like a web. Pull one thread and the whole web feels it. It reminds us to think carefully about our actions because what we do to nature, we ultimately do to ourselves.
The everything changes in principle in the 7 environmental principles state that in the environment and organisms are in a constant state of evolution and adaptation over time, driven by both natural processes and human activities, which have accelerated changes such as global warming. This principle highlights the dynamic nature of ecosystems and the importance of understanding and managing human impacts to avoid harmful consequences.
The fifth core principle of environmental is everything must go somewhere. Waste does not disappear. It must be properly managed. Means that when we throw things away, they don't just vanish into thin air. All the trash, garbage, and unwanted stuff we create has to end up somewhere. Here's why proper waste management is important. First is it prevents pollution. If waste isn't managed well, it can pollute our land, our water, and our air. So the second one is it saves resources. Proper waste management include recycling, which means we can reuse materials instead of constantly taking new resources from Earth. So, everything must go somewhere is a reminder that we have responsibility for the waste we create. We need to manage it properly through things like reducing what we throw away or reusing items, recycling, and disposing of waste safely so that it doesn't harm our health and our planet. Thank you.
Our is a finite Earth. Are you all ready? Let's go. Let's tackle this topic. Our environment is formed of two components, the renewable resources and the non-renewable resources.
When we say renewable resources, the sources which cannot be exhausted even after continuous utilization are termed renewable resources. Examples of renewable resources are the sun, wind, and tidal energy.
When we say renewable resources, is kaning mga butanga is mailistan pa. Like for example, sa mga katubigan, kung sobra ra sa kainit, mahubas, ba't dili siya mahurot. Pero og muulan, mubalik ra pud ang tubig. That's example of renewable resources. In another example is plants. Mailistan ang plants if magtanong taglayin ng plants. Another example is animals. Mailistan ang animals if ang kanang term is magbuhi na taog laing animals.
When we say non-renewable resources, the resources which cannot be immediately replaced once they are depleted are called non-renewable resources. Example of non-renewable resources include fossil fuels such as coal, petroleum, natural gas, and rare minerals typically found in meteorites.
Nature is beautiful and we are the stewards of God's creation. So this statement emphasizes environmental stewardship perspective. So it is rooted in religious and ethical beliefs. It asserts that nature inherent beauty. So the natural world possesses an intrinsic beauty and value. So human as stewards. So what is nature? So humanity is not merely a user of the nature but has the responsibility to care for it. So the term steward implies responsible management and preservation, not exploitation. So this is often linked to belief that God created nature and humans entrusted to care for it.
So, responsibility and protection of conservation. So, you must have a natural obligation to protect and preserve the environment for the future generations. So, includes preventing pollution, conserving resources, and protecting biodiversity. So for example, imagine a farmer using a traditional farming method that maintains soil health and biodiversity. So they could be seen as stewards of the land, actively protecting the environment while producing the food. This contrasts with industrial agriculture, which may prioritize maximizing yield at the cost of environmental damage. This steward's approach prioritizes long-term sustainability, not a short-term gain. So the farmer's action reflects a belief in inherent value of nature and the responsibility to protect it, aligning with the statement's core message. That's what the nature is beautiful, and we are the stewards of God's creation.
Hi everyone! We hope you have retained the 7 environmental principles. Now, let us move forward to the Philippine environmental laws in a nutshell. The Philippine environmental laws in a nutshell are a set of legal frameworks created to protect, preserve, and manage the country's natural resources and ensure environmental sustainability for present and future generations. First on the list, we have the Republic Act of 2003, or otherwise known Republic Act 9003, or otherwise known as the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000. This law mandates proper waste segregation, collection, and disposal. Its key objectives are to protect the environment and public health, promote sustainable waste management, and establish institutional mechanics.
So, I am going to tackle about the Republic Act number 9275, also called as the Philippine Clean Water Act of 2004. So this law was made to protect the country's water resources from pollution. It was approved on March 22, 2004, because many rivers, lakes, and seas in the Philippines were becoming dirty due to the waste from homes, factories, and farms. The main goal of this law is to make sure that the water we use is clean and safe for the people and for the environment. So this law tells the factories, businesses, and even households to treat their wastewater before they release it into rivers or sea. So wastewater is dirty water that comes from the bathroom, kitchens, and industrial process. So if it's not cleaned properly, it can harm fish, plants, and even people who rely on that water. So even us, it can harm our health. So the law requires companies to get a special permit before they can discharge water into the environment. So RA number 927 also created something called the Water Quality Management Areas, or the WQMAS. So these are specific places where the government and communities work together to protect and clean up water bodies. So the Department of Environmental and Natural Resources, are also known as the DENR, leads this effort but work closely with the local government units, or the LGUs. So businesses and residents help everyone in the area take care of their water source.